Welcome to Stories of Hope. I'm Christine Hotchkiss. Each week I bring you stories that will inspire you, educate you, and give you hope. I want to thank my studio sponsor, the Motivated Mind Group, a global creative agency based right here in downtown Chandler. Today my guest is Lorraine Tallman. She is the founder and the CEO of Amanda Hope Rainbow Angels, and their mission is to bring dignity and comfort into the harsh world of childhood cancer and other life-threatening diseases. Please help me welcome my guest today, Lorraine Tallman. Hey there.
Good morning. Well,
we have known each other. Yeah. We have known each other for a few years. We share a journey of the same, and we found purpose in our pain. So there was some positive and helping other people. And so I'm so glad we can actually connect again on my new platform. So welcome to my new platform.
It's exciting.
You look fabulous on the big screen, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes, and I know that you are actually at your center, at your place of work right now, so I do appreciate your time and the environment that I get to actually be a part of, as well as our guests. But before we get started as to what the Amanda Hope Rainbow Angels is, I want you to tell me a little bit about your daughter as to why this was founded.
So, our charity is called Amanda Hope Rainbow Angels, but that was actually my daughter's name, is Amanda Hope. And so when she was 9, she was diagnosed with leukemia. And then we found out all about the treatments for childhood cancer. And some of the news was very devastating because there's not been a lot of research for childhood leukemia at all. And we're still using drugs from 1950 and 1970 to, battle cancer for children. And unfortunately, there's just an enormous amount of side effects and problems with that treatment. And so after, going through it for 3 years, we discovered that the side effects could affect her hearing, her heart, her kidney, her liver, and, all these different things that we were trying to battle against. And when we were finally finished, and truly out of the 3 years, she was getting chemotherapy, whether it was in her spine, like a spinal tap, or in her thighs, or through her port. We spent almost 2 years solid in the hospital. And so just the devastation of that, and with her sisters and our family and me constantly being there, it was really, really hard on the family. So when she finally, after 3 years, was cancer-free and we could stop the treatment, you can't even imagine how excited we were. And we, tried to get back to life. And of course, there was a lot of PTSD with hearing ambulance sirens and certain smells and whatnot. So we really found out that mental health was a big, issue with fighting any disease. There's, always this fear. And even her sisters had a terrible fear of her not coming home or something happening. So we were dealing with a lot of that stress. My husband had ulcers. It was a lot. And then we, went to getting back to work because the financial devastation was horrific. And I went to work, and then, a couple months went by, and, we're still taking her down to the clinic to be tested, and it keeps coming back negative, and we're, extraordinarily grateful. And then one day they had a bring your child to work day, and Amanda wanted to go to work and be, a normal kid, and so I got to take her to work with me. And then 1 o'clock that afternoon, she started with this migraine, and I was like totally terrified because that was one of the signs she had when she was first diagnosed with cancer. And so I rushed her to the pediatrician and said, she has a headache and it's really bad, just like before. And he checked her all out, and he's like, Lorraine, she's fine. It's just a normal headache. And I thought, you think it's like normal? What's normal? Like, my life was so not normal for 3 years.
Right.
It was like, oh my God. And so I had brought her home and put her to bed and, do the mom thing, chicken soup, all the go-tos. And about 45 minutes after we home, at home. She let out a scream, and I went running up the stairs, and she was paralyzed on the left side of her face and over.
Oh my gosh.
And you know, I was sobbing, she was sobbing, and I'm trying to get her in the in the car, and she's screaming, "No, mommy, no more needles! No, I can't do it!" And rushed her back down to the ER, and they were doing scans, and then we found out that one of the drugs they gave her a brain tumor, and so
Brain tumor.
a brain tumor for the second
Oh
time.
my
So here we are,
gosh.
12, and now we're fighting a brain tumor, which was connected to the leukemia. So, here she is 12, and we have to tell her that, she has to fight cancer all over again. And, lots of tears, lots of fear. Because, she already knows the treatment, right? She knows what she's going to go through, and terrified. And so were her sisters, and, was my husband and me. And it was like we could have really used help, like for counseling and all these things, and we that wasn't even possible. Insurance didn't pay for any counseling back then, or all of that. And here I am thinking I've got to quit my job again, and here we go.
So I know that she did not survive the brain tumor. That's correct.
Yeah, she didn't, but she just became this really old soul and wanted to advocate for other children. And, at 12, she would have to lift her shirt up and be in a chemo room, and there'd be a grandfather there. And, there's a lot of people in the room at the time. And she hated it with a passion. And so one night she had a dream about, adaptive apparel and she called it Comfy Cozies for Chemo. But
so before we get into that, I actually want to learn more about your organization, because there is a lot of questions, but I want to ask questions first too, because I know how passionate you are, because I'm just as passionate. But I want to get a couple of minutes to ask a couple of questions. So
yes.
So unfortunately, she passed away, and that's a hard thing to deal with, the loss of a child, as you and I both share that for different ways, but we do share that it's still a void and a hardship in our heart, and anyone else that was touched by our children. So you came up with this organization, which is the Amanda Hope Rainbow Angels, which I love it. I've seen a lot of your events. I hear about all the stuff that you're doing. I've been to a couple of your events as well. I saw the mission. Tell me the vision that you had at the time that now we'll go into more as to what this actually does for a lot of children and their families today.
So the vision was from Amanda that we would be the hand up. Because between the mental health, the financial devastation, the dignity, the education, there's so like mom mentoring and helping a mom, having a mom that's been there to help you get through it. There were just so many huge gaps in the care and being able to help a family, because when you have cancer, you have no immune system, which means you're isolated. So, even when you do get to go home, you don't let anybody come and visit on the fear that they may bring something into your home that literally could cause your child's death. Because if they don't have any white cells, there's nothing for them to fight off an infection.
No, and
through all that, it was like, what can we do? And Amanda was like, that she wanted to be a normal child, so it was just like, how can we, have something that's normal for children? So that's really where all of our major distractions and all the parties that we do and the different events that we have is to try to create these normal moments for children that are so severely immune compromised.
So I took a look at your website, and I saw that you have a lot of fun things to do, that a child doesn't have to feel like they have to live differently because something is different about the way that they are living, if that made sense. I think so.
No, 100%.
So tell me more about what you do, and then we're going to talk about that fabulous shirt that's sitting right next to you.
So we have we are trying to create memories for children when they're going through the treatment. So we call them major distractions. And so whether we're going into the hospital to paint nails or provide meals or bring crafts, or whether we have this beautiful center here where, healing and hope is everywhere. where we do play therapy and music and art and theater play, anything to make our children feel, that they're having a normal life. We have game night and taco nights, and we have family fun festivals where companies come in, they all set up booths so they can do crafts and paint their faces and, dunking machines, obstacle courses in the backyard, remote control cars spinning all over the place. So we're constantly doing different events, from everything for the children, but it's not, the thing that I love about what we do is it's not just for the children that's diagnosed with whatever, whether it's cancer or, dialysis or different things, but it's for the siblings, the mom and dad and grandma and grandpa too, because so much of your life is isolated. When we do an event, we try to bring the whole family together.
Well, this is a journey, yeah, and this is a journey that the entire family's on, not just the child. The child is the one that's actually going through the treatments and the emotions that they are, but there's also emotions that are going with the family members and their own view of what that child is going through, which can be very heavy. And so it's good that you have these events and these functions that the outside world can come into a very protected environment, that a child can still, and the family can still have fun. They just don't have to pay the prices that we do when we go to amusement parks and go to these other places.
And they just simply don't have the money. There's just no way. So even when we do an outside event, we pay for everything for the families to be there, because it's not possible for the chemo bills and everything else that come on. Anybody that's fought a disease with insurance knows that insurance is not even come close to paying for what a child needs.
Well, now you talked about a few different things, and especially when it comes to the financial, we know that is a very huge burden on a lot of people when it comes to the medical industry, the medicines, the everything. I'm not even going to list it all because you are in the environment all the time, so you know what it is. What kind of programs do you have that a family would not know that are available when they get into a situation like this? Which I don't want to say I hope they don't, because I don't want anyone to go through it, but should someone do need your services, how would they be able to go through your program?
So we're very connected with all the social workers and all the hospitals here in Arizona. So if there's a financial burden, or they need a birthday party, or they want their transplant room decorated, or whatever it is, the social workers work very closely with our counselors and our social workers. So the needs are brought to us immediately, and then we're able to take care of them, quite quickly. And even like gas prices doubling, like they have, we're able to just send the family gas cards and things like that. So it's just that we work so closely with the social workers that we're able to just meet. We call them the here and now needs. What do they need today? Do they need groceries? Do they need gas? Do they need their car fixed? Do they need an air conditioner? Like, what is it that is going to help them today? And so that's how we're able to help somebody.
And now you're located, are you located inside the Phoenix Children's Hospital or on their campus?
No, we're not in the hospital. We're probably 10 minutes away. So we're on Coronado and 3rd. And so, which is wonderful, because even if a mom is in the hospital, a mom can come over and say she wants a massage or reflexology or, cranial work or, something for her or their dad. They can come here and get it. And sometimes our children are in the front getting play therapy with our therapist, and mom's in the back getting a massage. It's
nice.
Yeah, sometimes you don't get a lot of personal touch when you're living in the hospital. Or, it's so stressful. So we do a lot of integrative health here. So we can help the whole family.
And you just talked about the stresses, talked about the financial. Now we're going to talk about this very cool tie-dye fashion statement, but it's also a multi-purpose functional thing. It's not just a t-shirt. So tell me more about this fabulous shirt that's sitting next to you.
So Comfy Cozies for Chemo is the official name, and Amanda hated her entire body being exposed, so she had a dream about how we could have different compartments for their port and their Broviac. There's slits down here on the side for their feeding tubes and their bloodlines, and there's pockets inside for when they're not hooked up to the IV pole. these little tubies can go in the pockets so they're not scratching your skin. So it's really, this one's a little dress, so it's really cute. We have about 60 designs. We have them for adults and for children. They and providers love them because it's quick access to the ports, and it's clean. So and what's powerful is the kids are now participating in their care. So they're like, do you want the left side or the right side open? Do they have to access? And even if they fall asleep, the nurses they know that blood lines go to the right, IV lines and feeding tubes can go to the left. So it literally manages all of their lines. And, especially our kiddos from transplant, you could have 20 different lines coming out of their little bodies. And so you really want something that manages where all the lines go.
Now, I didn't really get to see all of it because part of the screen cuts it off. So would you want to do me a favor and bring it in more into the screen so anyone else could see this designer comfy cozy shirt that you just described as so helpful and so discreet. There's nothing like wearing a gown that has to be, tied in the back and everything's exposed and then you're uncomfortable. So this is like a t-shirt.
It's a t-shirt, yeah. And there's the pocket. And so basically, when the children go in, we don't even have to give them Ativan or Benadryl to calm them down to access their port. The children are like, do you want to do the left side or the right side? It really is like an empowering tool for them. Okay. And then, this one's a little dress, and it has the slits on the side for all of the lines that can be managed from above. So this, at all of our chemo apparel is, the fabric is amazing. It's very soft. We actually found a ministry in India where the woman that makes all of our comfy cozies, they're handmade by women that have been rescued from domestic violence or sex rape. So they're all handmade, and not all of them are 100% perfect, but they are 100% made with love. So it's a great tool to teach women in India how to sew. And then, they can work their way up to those gorgeous sari gowns and beautiful, vibrant colors that India is known for. And so
I love it.
They're all wonderfully, lovely made. And we have them they go from newborn to 2X in adults. So we actually sell the apparel to adults to help subsidize what we do for children. So
very nice.
It's pretty cool. Yeah,
that is so neat. And I love the fact that you just said that they're made by women who they needed give that love, I think is what you said. What is that? Yeah. Give one, help one, and they're helping a lot of people here. And I'm sure they get a lot of blessings out of it, knowing that they had something that they went through. And I wouldn't say rewarded. I think that's a bad word to say, but they're giving back when someone else helped them get up. Yeah, I love that.
They're learning how to sew, and they're helping children. What women wouldn't want to do that. I mean, it is such a win, and the women love it. They love learning how to sew. They love making the comfy cozies, and it's so rewarding to them.
So I'm going to ask, with all the different things that you have available through your organization and this shirt of yours and how it actually goes and extends out of what you actually are doing, which is beautiful, do you have any story, or a story, we could tell stories all day long, I don't have the time for all those, but do you have a story in particular that you want to share that was either with a family or a child that just wasn't comfortable and then they became as comfortable as they could coming through the program, whatever the process is, and I don't even know, so I don't want to assume. Do you have a story you want to share with us that was a success?
My favorite successful stories is we actually had a little girl that was autistic. And anyone that has worked with an autistic children, you realize that schedule and the way you do things has to be followed, or they can, they're sensitive. They can get very upset when things don't follow a certain pattern or schedule of way things are. And so we had a young girl that we were giving comfy cozies to who was autistic, but because she learned that this was the apparel that you put on and that she got to open it up for the doctors and it became a part of the routine of her treatment, she went from being screaming on the ground, not wanting anyone to touch her or take her shirt off or to get her port access, to actually, being empowered. No, this is the way you do it. Now, you had to let her do, openings and things like that because that's what made her comfortable. But, we no longer had to give her Ativan or Benadryl just to access the port. And she's now cancer-free and doing wonderful. But, her mom said, I don't know how we would have done it without the comfy cozy because, she gets dressed in the morning, right? And when you have children that are autistic, they get dressed in the morning, they put their pajamas on at night, but they don't change their clothes during the day because it's not what you do. But with, getting her ready for treatment, she was like, oh no, this is what I do for my treatment days. It was phenomenal just to see, how something just, so simple as adaptive apparel could literally turn around a treatment plan for a little girl. And another great story was I had a teenage boy who was a football player, and people think, oh, that's for girls. Well, he lost so much weight when he was going through cancer treatment that now he's all skin and bones. And in the Phoenix Children's Hospital or any pediatric hospital, when you're 16, 17 and you lose that kind of body mass, then they don't want the young nurses looking at them. And so he loved the apparel because he could just show the part of his body that he wanted to show and get access and get the treatment that he needed. And he was no longer totally embarrassed about his body because now he could be cared for and accessed by all the young nurses. And it was magical for him. So, there's a story about a young teenage boy versus, a little girl. So we have, of course, we get stories all the time, but I love those two because it's just two different.
They absolutely are, and I'm glad that you had those two because people would think you were already talking about a small child, but the teenagers, they have egos. They're sensitive too, and yeah, you just gave the story, and it was a boy in a tie-dye shirt. I'm not so sure of being a football player, so it's great that you gave both of those stories. And like you said, you have a lot of successful stories I'm sure that you can share that these kids can have. I bet it makes for a good day for these kids to come in there and feel confident even though they're going through something very difficult.
And it's kind of like a high five. Like in the hospital, there's a lot of different, diseases that are being fought, but all the kids that have a port, a central line, they have, whether it's black tie-dye or navy or rainbow colors or whatever it is, it's kind of like a high five, like they all know they're part of this,
they're all wearing a cool trend.
Warrior groups, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's very, very, very cool, like a team shirt.
Now, I've gone through a few things here, and I don't know the journey in which you're in, and the kids that you see day in and day out. Is there anything that I did not ask that you want to make sure that we are aware of? This is your highlight time.
Yeah, I think the number one thing I would love is, if you hear of, a congressman or a senator or someone, and, we get so little research dollars for children. It's over 50 billion we spend in research for adults, and it's, about 544 million for children. So there's $1 million for children and $1 billion for adults. And, every 2 minutes a child is diagnosed with cancer, and, every 10 minutes a child dies. And so, and it's the number one disease killing children in America today, and yet it's the least funded. So I just really want people to know that, pharmaceutical companies aren't taking up this bandwagon because so many more adults get cancer than children, but yet children are the ones that are dying the most. And, the average age of a child's 4, the average age of an adult is like in the 60s. So, we're not even really giving our children the future that they deserve. And, we know the cure's out there, but we really want everyone to even work together. Sometimes I feel like you've got different organizations raising money to find the cure, to be the hero. And I would love a global, where everybody shares all the information. So you don't have someone spending, $200 million over here researching something that somebody's already spent 500 million over here researching. Like, I would love for it just to be a global database where everyone shares what they're doing, so we don't waste a lot of research dollars. And so, there are groups that are coming together, but I would love it if, because you hear of things in Italy and, in Israel and Germany, like, oh, we've got this, and you want it here. I even know families that fly to Germany for treatment. Why isn't everything available everywhere? And
that's
what I really want.
Yeah. If I ever have a show that I have someone that can answer that question, I'll get back to you on that, okay?
Yeah. So just knowledge is powerful.
I was going to say, before I ask my final question, you and I share the journey of losing a child, different ages, different situations, different reasons. And in that pain, we found joy in helping others. And sometimes I that's how I founded Stories of Hope, is so I could give back in the memory of my daughter by what I'm going through, but people that I couldn't reach out to and had no idea what I was going through, I allow that to be what my guests do is, hey, you're not alone. You do have a voice. There are other resources. There are other people walking this journey. So I found the way to whoever it touches, when it's supposed to be touched, or how it's extended out there. That's what I do, just like what you're doing. And you actually have twofold there. You have ladies that you're helping in another country make money, but as well find some comfort after having gone through something of their own. So I want to just say I commend you.
Oh, thank you. I truly love our Amanda Hope home and everything that we do. It's really remarkable.
It is, and you keep changing lives one day at a time, as I always say, but yours is more like a family at a time, not just one day at a time. It's a family at a time.
It's a family at a time. And even our families that lose children, we have these beautiful remembrance nights for them, and our grievance counselors are incredible. And so, we're just part of the journey. Wherever the family is, we want to be a part of that journey.
Absolutely. So I have a final question, but it has nothing to do with your organization. You ready for this one?
Okay.
Okay. I always ask this question because if I was only given one question to ask a person to figure out whether I knew what they were going through or knew something about them that I could walk away from and never see them again, it would be this question. What message would you like to leave everyone based on your journey of your life?
I would say that as difficult and as painful as some of our journeys are, there's always the silver lining is that you can take your pain and turn it around to help somebody with their pain. Nobody gives a better hug than somebody who's been there, done that. And so I love being alongside of children and moms that are going through incredibly painful time, and being that one that, Amanda used to say, big hugs. So I like being the mom, no matter where I am, that gives big hugs. And if I can create the most best days for someone, job well done.
It makes it a little easier. Yeah. It makes it a little easier on us in our days.
My mom used to say, you help where you need it. So you need help in a certain area personally, that's where you should go and provide help. And then it'll come back to you like a full circle. So give what you want, and then it comes back to you.
I know about that full circle. I enjoy seeing those full circles for sure. So I love that you said that. And thank you for giving me that wisdom. We'll call it wisdom, because we all have wisdom within our journey because we've been through something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We are who we are because of where we have been.
Yeah, the winter seasons can be good. I'm a grandma now, so it's like, this is good.
Thank you for being my guest today. I am so glad we finally got to connect yet again. It's been a couple of years. We all have been through a few different things in the last couple of years, personally and professionally, but I'm glad that we could connect again and that I could share your journey, your story, and the legacy of your daughter, Amanda Hope.
Thank you. I'm sure she's smiling down about all the time.
And I want you to share this one thing because you put it in your emails. What is it that you always say about Amanda?
Big hugs. Yeah, she
hugs.
always used to say, big hugs, Mama.
There you go.
Everything we do is about big hugs. Yeah.
And that's for her and from her. So we'll leave it with that.
Little angel
Thank
kiss.
you. Yes. Oh, wow. I love doing what I do. I want to thank my studio sponsor, the Motivated Mind Group, a global creative agency based right here in downtown Chandler. If you have a story you want to share, know someone who has a story that would help someone else along their journey, please email me to the address of stories@christinehotchkiss.com. And if you'd like to be a sponsor, please email me to the address of stories@christinehotchkiss.com. Until next time, everyone, I wish you well, and you take care.